a 4, and a 4.
No! Come on! It is fun!
3.45 meters. Here we go. Woo! Invigorating, isn't it? Wow. Judges. Splash. 2, a 3, and a 3. And now a 3, and another 3. Costume. Okay. A 4, and a 4.
No! Come on! It is fun!
Spotswood High's football team is featured tonight as my series on the new Valley District continues. Who cares how the Spotswood Trailblazers finished up last year on the gridiron? Rookie head coach Tom Dana doesn't. The time is now. No need looking back. He's got his own style and ways of doing things. 50 athletes turned out for summer camp. 16 of those are seniors. Coach Dana talked about weak points, stressing it doesn't always come down to X's and O's.
Well, it's not one thing specifically. It's tough on young people to make the adjustment from one coach to another. It's not necessarily that one thing's right and one thing's wrong. There's never a right and wrong in football. It's just that things are done differently, and the thing we're looking at is how fast they can adapt to what we're doing. And the second thing is how fast they can learn to play with one another. And I think that's probably the most important thing.
A new coaching staff almost always brings with it new systems to learn on both sides of the ball. Will that present problems?
I think so to a certain degree. We look real complicated, but we're not really. We run a lot of different sets offensively, and we don't run a tremendous amount of plays, but we do run quite a few different looks, and I think that's been difficult a little bit for the kids to pick up on.
Leadership is always a big ingredient on a winning ball club. With 16 hungry seniors, Spotswood won't be lacking. Tomorrow night, look at Western Albemarle High. The Western Albemarle Warriors won last year's Valley District. They lost in the state playoffs to Hanley. Jay Sprouse is the new head coach after paying his dues as an assistant. Sprouse smiles when he realizes he's got 20 seniors on the club, but many familiar faces on last year's offense are gone.
We're returning almost all of our defense. We're not doing a very good job, I'm afraid, returning many offensive players in the backfield. We didn't return anyone in our backfield. But I think we've got some adequate replacements. We've moved a cornerback, Percy Abel, to quarterback to replace Jeff Hall. And our offensive backfield, our tailback, and our fullback, Henderson and Tillery, 3,000 yards worth of rushing is kind of hard to replace. But we think we're going to try to balance our attack a little bit more with the passing game this year and see if we can't keep people off guard a little more.
Sprouse also had a word or two about the new 10-team Valley alignment.
It just doesn't give you a breather. I mean, we love it. We really like it because we like the competition. We like the schools. We felt really badly a couple years ago when we split off and we weren't able to play teams like Harrisonburg and TA Broadway. We're looking forward to it. We like the new members. Ford Defiance sounds like a good game. Central is going to be good. Thank God they got rid of Lambiot before we got hold of them. But other than that, we're real happy.
With 65 athletes to choose from, the Western Albemarle Warriors could be this year's dark horse. If the Warriors are this year's dark horse, then the Little Giants of Waynesboro are one of the outright favorites. Now, that's not what I thought up. It's the general consensus of coaches TV3 has talked to. 7-year coach Bob Walton had 70 kids out for summer camp. He'll carry 36 on the varsity. With 16 returning lettermen, 9 of those starters, Waynesboro's offense is only lacking an experienced quarterback.
We have a very experienced backfield other than quarterback, and of course you know how important your quarterback is, and we have to have patience in the fact he's never played varsity, so we're going to have to kind of hang with him and again have patience. We're very pleased with our backfields. The kids that have come back, Corbett Durrett at fullback, Gene Thomas at tailback, and Al Woodson at wingback, all started as sophomores, so they're experienced.
Walton has a lot of respect for teams like Harrisonburg and Western Albemarle. He's apprehensive in some areas about his own club.
Well, the thing that will worry me throughout all of our games is that we don't have any depth right now, and we've got to go with our starters, and we just absolutely need time in terms of depth. And I think by about the 4th or 5th ball game, some of our younger kids will be ready to perform varsity-wise, but right now we don't really have that many kids that are ready for varsity competition. It's a tough league. It's a tough district, and you just don't throw a sophomore in there or a junior in there that's never played varsity before, because they'll get eaten alive by people like Harrisonburg or Western.
When the Little Giants take to the field this weekend for their first game, they'll be trying to improve on last year's 6-4 record. In Wilson Memorial, head coach Eddie Carter's 6 years at the helm. One season he'd like to forget as last year's. He saw his team lose all but one ball game. But Carter says this year's team benefited from that experience and should show improvement in the win-loss statistic. 52 kids turned out, 12 of those lettermen.
Our strengths lie in our skill people on offense. In other words, we got a whole offensive backs and receivers back intact from last year. Our secondary, with the exception of one man, is back intact, but he played a lot of football back there. Our linebackers are real experienced kids. Both kids are back. Both kids are seniors. Probably our offensive and defensive line is our weakest point from the standpoint we don't have a lot of depth.
Carter is like many of the other coaches I've talked to. He's excited about the new district alignment, and he thinks the Green Hornets got a good shake when the schedules were drawn up.
Really, it's to our advantage, we feel like. We play 5 county schools in the first 5 games. And then we kind of hit the heavies down the next 4 games. We play, I don't know what the order is, but we play Lee, Harrisonburg, Western Albemarle, and Waynesboro back-to-back. So that's going to be tough. But it's probably going to be a big plus because hopefully we can have a very successful early season and give us a lot of confidence going in the next 4.
The Green Hornets will be using the same offensive and defensive systems as last year, hopefully with better success in 82.
That's what I'm saying.
Success is what the Fighting Lehman of Robert E. Lee of Stanton enjoyed with the Veer offense and 52 defense last year. With a 6-4 mark to be proud of, rookie head coach Doug Carter says his team won't do anything different. 84 kids turned out, 40 are varsity material. Carter boasts 17 returning lettermen, 6 of those starters.
Well, our first strength is of course going to be from our senior leadership. We have some kids that have played last year. We have 6 starters back from last year. Their enthusiasm, their effort. We also have some 17 lettermen back from last year. Of course, they didn't see all the action that the starters did, but they did get some time in, and they want to play. And we've had kids that have waited their turn to play, and so that's going to be one of our strong points.
I was wondering how the Lee alumnus felt about getting his kids up for 9 tough Valley District ball games.
Well, I don't think I'm going to have to get them up. Their enthusiasm has been such that they want to play ball. They made a lot of sacrifices this summer, so I think they're going to get after them.
The Fighting Leemen have a couple of razzle-dazzle, game-breaking plays. Carter made me shut down the TV3 Sports Eye so as not to give anyone a sneak preview. The Central Falcons ought to be primed and ready for 82, huh? After all, they were 8-1-1 last year. That should give them plenty to build upon for this year, right? Wrong. At least if you talk to head coach Jack Bowserman. In his 15th year, the veteran isn't too boastful.
We lost everybody. We've only got really about 5 kids that played very much at all last year, and this is going to be a rebuilding year, and we've got a good group of sophomores and a good group of juniors and some promising freshmen. We look for the things to pick up in the future, but this year it's going to take them time. We're going to be kind of like I guess a JV team playing a lot of varsity teams, because we're not going to be able to do a lot of things we've done in the past and not be as sophisticated, especially with our passing game.
53 kids showed up when camp opened. Bowserman says his farm boys are healthy and strong, and the schedule isn't so bad either.
Well, our first 4 ball games are against teams that we will be competitive with, and then we run into the wall, supposedly, right in Murderers Row, and we just hope we can get through that without getting too many people hurt.
Anybody who's ever put on the pads to play this game called football would tell you that practicing is the most boring part of it all. Game time is what it's all about. Based upon what we've seen the last couple of weeks doing these reports, it ought to be a great season for high school football. This is Paul Davis for the entire TV3 sports team in Woodstock.
Game on Saturday. We've had a good preseason camp. The kids came in good shape and they've worked hard. Of course, we feel like that we're going to be ready.
If it looks like James Madison head coach Challis McMillan is anxious to get the 82 Duke football campaign started, you're right. In his 11th year, he's probably assembled the school's best team ever. There are 41 returning lettermen from last year's 3-8 squad. Offensively, JMU will be led by junior quarterback Tom Bowles. The kid from Richmond has passed for 1,980 yards and needs just 95 more to set a school record. Bowles will team up with split end Gary Clark. Clark needs just 3 receptions to become the school's all-time receiver. Senior running back Chuck May and freshman Warren Marshall will run for daylight in a new offensive system.
Well, we've changed a lot of things offensively. We've gone to a different set in the backfield and different plays, although we're still an option football team. And so a lot of concepts we had used still hold over. There's a lot of
The offensive line averages 255 pounds. The fight in the trenches will be spearheaded by seniors John Kent, Vince Vicara, and Jim Visich. Defensively, look for the 50 alignment. Seniors John Craver, Charlie Newman, and Mike Thurman will lead the way. Overall, the Dukes are an experienced bunch.
Maybe the biggest asset right now is the fact that we do have a group of seniors here. We do have more lettermen here than we've had on this level before. And the experience and the leadership that they're going to provide, I think, is going to be a big factor for us.
JMU takes on a new opponent for their opener tomorrow, the University of New Hampshire. The Wildcats were 7-3 last year. The action gets underway at 1 p.m. in Madison Stadium.
So now we got an idea where to go next year, next month, or even next week. Some of you boys there, I think some of the scouts are interested in your future. So we hope that they'll come someday and open a spot for you in their organization. Maybe you have a chance to play professional ball.
For a youngster harboring dreams of a career in professional baseball, those words from Major League scout Joe Consoli had to be somewhat encouraging. The Baltimore native has made that same kind of comment to thousands of athletes around the country, most recently here in the Valley at the Major League Scouting Bureau's tryout camp held at the Winchester Royals home field 2 weeks ago. Mr. Consoli and his small staff are one of several satellite arms of the Major League Scouting Bureau, representing 18 pro teams. The Bureau exists because most of the member teams believe it is impossible to keep track of all the nation's top prospects strictly with their own scouting staffs. So they pay an annual fee to gain access to player profiles stored in the MLSB's computer. It's based in California. The Bureau comes up with its profiles after conducting camps like the one open to Virginia players in Winchester. Joe Consoli has been instrumental in propelling about 100 ball players into the majors. Guys like Al Oliver, Woody Fryman, Lou Whitaker, Billy Sample, and Ken Takovi. The list goes on and on. It's no wonder he holds the Bureau's effectiveness in high regard.
Well, I think the greatest the most exciting thing that's happened in sports is the Major League Scouting Bureau, where we go and we evaluate the talents of future prospects for the major leagues. We have a lot of tryout camps, and we cover all the high schools and all the colleges and watch all the baseball programs whenever possible.
How long have you been doing this, sir?
Well, I've been in professional baseball all my life. I'd say about 30, 35 years.
I understand you've got some heavy signatures under your belt.
Well, I counted the other day, or somebody asked me about it, and I have 136 boys in the major leagues today.
The most famous being?
Well, I think every boy that goes to the big leagues, as far as I'm concerned, is famous and is a great athlete, because I think a baseball player is the greatest of all athletes because it's the most difficult sport to play.
The 4-hour tryout took place in 90-degree temperatures. The weather may have been a damper on fan turnout. It was hardly standing room only, but the 75 or so ball players from high school, American Legion, county, and Valley baseball leagues took it in stride, and in the words of Consoli, put their skills on the line. Not only were Bureau staff members keeping a watchful eye on the individual performances, but several major league clubs had elected to send their own scouts to witness the action in person. The first test was that for speed. New York Mets scout Bruce Cudmore evaluated the crop and also keynoted the importance of being able to move along.
Some outstanding runners, and that's good to see because you're just around, and running is just one of the skills, almost like throwing, that you just don't see that many good runners and throwers that much, and this is a good group of runners, and it's just encouraging because running is something that you can use both on offense and defense, and it's something that most guys don't really practice. And so just see the guys that can run, and if they can do one or two other things, then they might have a chance one day.
Next came the outfielders' chance to shine. They were required to make the long throw to third and home plate with a runner tagging. Pittsburgh Pirates scout Doug Robbins told me what he looks for in that department.
Well, mainly we're looking for arm speed, arm velocity, somebody that can throw the ball on a big league level. What we're doing basically is comparing each and every kid we see with an average major league arm. An average major league arm in our organization might be a guy like Omar Marino, would have an average major league arm. We're looking for kids that can throw the ball the same velocity that Omar Marino can throw it, with the same velocity, the same accuracy.
All right, you're hitting infield practice. The infielders out there throwing it around. What are you watching for?
Of course, the arm again, the accuracy of the arm, the body control, how well they go after a ball, their body reactions, their body control, their adaptability to baseball, their alertness, their aptitude, things like that. You'd be surprised what you can tell with a few ground balls about a kid. If he has good hands, if he has good arm, things like that.
The last test the kids went through was probably the most welcomed, the chance to put one out from the batting cage. There were a couple of impressive shots for the scouts to gloat over. Robbins evaluated the importance of being able to send the tiny white sphere sailing.
The great equalizer, if a kid can't do anything else, would be hit the ball out of the park. Obviously, a guy like Dave Kingman, strictly a power hitter. He's in the big leagues for one reason, his bat. He can't run, can't throw very well. If you can't do anything, the one thing to do well would be the bat, because it is the great equalizer. It can make up for a lot of things.
Ex-JMU standout Lorenzo Bundy is still trying to make it to the big leagues for good. He was dropped from the Texas Rangers roster in spring training. It left a bad taste in his mouth.
Pretty much got a raw deal, to be honest. I got released not because of my ability down in Texas, but because of, they call it a numbers game. You know, they got guys that they've given bonus money to, and even though, say, my ability was possibly equal or better than somebody else, they had more money, bonus money invested in them, so they had to keep them. So consequently, I was let go.
Lorenzo, what kind of pressure is there when you come to a camp like this today?
Well, so like today, most of these guys know who I am, and they know why I'm here. And so to me, I got to stand out. I got to do a lot more than, say, a kid 16 or 17 years old does. I got to hit the ball at the ballpark.
Being able to clear the fences may be important for a career in Major League Baseball, but it wasn't one of the things Joe Consoli alluded to in his closing remarks to the players.
If you're going to be a pro ball player, you must want to play it in your mind. You can't second guess yourself and be apprehensive. And number two, it's got to be in your heart that you want to play. If you got those two things and you're just a little bit better than the other boy, you have a chance today for the big leagues.
This is Paul Davis for People, Places, and Games, still looking for a contract in Winchester.
You went up there and took a swing. You did everything.
There's more talent on this team than there's been for several years. I'll put it that way, very frankly. Yeah.
That's a mighty big statement from Eastern Mennonite College soccer coach Byron Schenk. After all, he's coached 11 years at the school. 33 prospects have turned out. One of the bright spots on this year's club will be goalkeeper Don Brunk.
Don definitely is one of the better keepers in our conference. And being a senior and having played with 6 of these guys in high school and college, that is a help. I think particularly they communicate well together. If Don is hurt or for some reason can't play, we would really be hurting. We do not have experienced backup keepers.
4 seniors will lead the team into battle in the ODAC. There are 17 freshman candidates. Standouts should be forward Kenny Shank, along with Darryl Myers, and the brother combination of Roger and Andre Mast. What's a Shank coaching trademark?
My own feeling about my coaching, and then other coaches telling me this, is we try to play team ball. Traditionally, we've not had a lot of talent compared to most of the other teams in our conference, and so we have tried to play a very good team unity ball.
The EMC soccer team scored only 12 times last year. They'll need a team effort to do better in this year's 14 matchups. The Mountaineers have 36 players returning from last year's Peach Bowl team. 13 of those are starters. Offensively, it'll be the multiple eye again. Rebuilding the line has been tedious. That's their weakness. And can number 15, Penn State transfer quarterback Jeff Hostetler, replace Oliver Luck? Senior All-American tight end Mark Rao is back. With 25 more catches, he'll become the school's all-time receiver.
I don't really set goals as far as statistics on paper. I try to set goals, you know, like I want to make myself a better player week by week. I can't rely on the past. You know, I can't remember things that happened to me in the past. I'm just going to start a new season, try to make Mark Rao a better player each day, each week, and that's really how I base my goals for the season.
The defense returns 8 starters, just 3 of those seniors. The unit has good depth and high expectations, but third-year head coach Don Nealon is apprehensive.
Well, I don't think the defense is as good as they think they are, but hopefully they'll get a little better. I think some of our older guys think they can throw their helmets out on the field and folks will stop running on them. I don't think that's quite the case. Our defense has not been as good during two-a-day as I thought maybe it would be. And yet, on the other hand, this past couple of days they've performed better, so I'm anxious to see what they do against Oklahoma.
The Mountaineers open up against Oklahoma on Saturday. Come Sunday, they'll know just how good they are. The Bridgewater College Eagles won only 2 ball games last year, finishing last in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. John Spencer is in his 15th year as head coach. He's happy to have lost only 4 seniors to graduation and feels confident they'll improve on last year.
Well, we have a pretty good front line, offensively and defensively. So our strength is that our first team players, I think, are quality people, and we have some backups that aren't too bad. Our basic problem would be a problem of depth. We don't have a lot of people involved.
3 kids are fighting for the quarterback's job, including senior Ken Snyder. Up front doing the blocking will be senior academic All-American candidate Steve Milo.
This year I think we're turning it around. I really feel that. Worked hard. Coach seems to think we're working harder. And he usually doesn't just come out and say that. He doesn't mean it. I think everybody's working together. We know we need everybody here, and that's got a lot to do with it. I mean, everybody's going to have a chance to play.
Defensively, the Eagles look for good things from All-ODAC end Robert Glasscock and linebacker John Cole. Bridgewater opens up the 82 season tomorrow at home against St. Paul's. The storybook ending for the Orioles wasn't meant to be yesterday in Baltimore. After taking the first 3 games of the 4-game set with Milwaukee to tie the American League East race, the Birds bowed out 10-2 in the finale. Before the game, the Brewers were more than confident.
Not down in the dumps. We've lost 3 or 4 games before, and we've always been able to come back, so I don't see any reason why we can't come back today.
Memorial Stadium was packed to the gills. All the big shots were there. It seemed like every TV station in the nation was represented. For Birds fans, the game was a nightmare. The Brewers never trailed. They scored a run in each of the first 3 innings. The O's got the long ball only once, in the 3rd, when rookie Glenn Gulliver hit his first Major League tater off Don Sutton. The Birds could only manage one more run as Sutton went the distance. Palmer was gone after 5.
Well, it was such a wonderful day, I'll tell you. I thought we were going to win. I didn't think there was any doubt about it. But so much for momentum, inertia, and anything else you want to say. It has to do with
Robin Yount had 2 home runs and a triple.
We've been loose throughout this whole series, believe it or not. I don't know. You people might have written a lot about that we were choking or whatever you want to call it.
Some baseball fans will remember that the American League East was decided in 1982 on the last day of the season when the Orioles and Brewers squared off in Baltimore. But more importantly, if you're a Baltimorean, you'll also remember that it marked Earl Weaver's last game as the O's skipper. That Tiger, first and foremost on the minds of the Cavalier football team. But there were other firsts. Scott Stadium was presenting, for the first time in 51 years, nighttime football under the lights, courtesy of an Iowa-based mobile lighting crew. Another first, national TV coverage by the Superstation, Turner Broadcasting of Atlanta. And how about those brand new scoreboards in each end zone? What a debut. Wahoo fans probably would have preferred that the rest of the country not see what 31,000 saw firsthand in the rain. Clemson dominated the game in every category. In the first half, they notched up 310 offensive yards to UVA's 69. Running back Cliff Austin had a good night, scoring the Tigers' first and third touchdowns. An 82-yard strike from Homer Jordan to Chuck McSwain sent Clemson into the locker room at halftime with a 34-0 lead. Things didn't change in the second half. The Cavaliers with a couple of chances to punch it in, but a stingy Tiger defense wouldn't budge. So the University of Virginia football program has a bunch of firsts to be proud of from this weekend, but one first they couldn't come up with, a first-time win in 22 meetings with Clemson. The final, Clemson Tigers 48, UVA nothing. With that shot, Mary Lindsay became the first player ever, male or female, at Wilson Memorial to score 1,001 points in a career. She's only a junior.
I didn't really know what I'd done. Everybody just jumping it down, and then teammates came out there and they were telling me all this, so I didn't know anything was going on.
Did you hear the crowd cheering?
Yeah.
When did it dawn on you what had happened?
Well, teammates came over and they're yelling things, and then I knew I had over 900, but I didn't know I was that close until really.
I really hadn't thought about it. The manager, the stats fellow, told me about it. We didn't have a good game Saturday night in the championship, and we were just worried about getting back on our feet.
Lindsay reached the milestone in the fourth quarter against the Devilettes. She played a great ball game all the way around, though, scoring a season-high 28 points. She grabbed 13 off the boards and dished out 11 assists. With Lindsay leading the way in the backcourt, the Green Hornets aim for the state tournament. It must have been an omen when Joyce Sampson of Harrisonburg didn't get her 1,000th career point, her only point in the first half, until 2:14 left till the break. This was the kind of a game it was. Wilson led by 1 at the half, trailed by 5 with 2:45 to go, but tied it at 35 and had the ball for the last shot in regulation. They couldn't pull it out. In OT, the teams traded buckets. Nita Washington's 2 at the line put the streaks up 41-39 with 30 seconds left. But Wilson's Mary Lindsay brought it back down and to the hoop, 41 all. Harrisonburg ran the clock down to 9 seconds, called a timeout, and came back with Washington to inbound. Kim Barlow with the play of the night, followed by her only field goal of the game to win it for Wilson Memorial, 43-41. The multi-million-dollar facility is almost but not quite finished. It will seat 7,600 screaming fans. That's where the holdup is, the seats. Most of the permanent theater style are in. The telescopic bleachers, as they're called, will be finished last.